Welcome to the Fantasy Football League podcast. I'm your host, Aiden, and today I'm joined by my 0-2 compatriot, Totally Offensive, also known as Patty the Unlucky, also known as my mom. So, if you want to introduce yourself, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing fine, except I'm a little anxious given that two of my players have been injured, and one of them's on IR already, Pacheco, and I'm guessing Cooper Kupp's going to end up there too. Not a lot to choose from to pick up new players, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's kind of a shocker that you're 0-2. We'll get into that later. But first, this podcast covers the coveted Fantasy Football League, our fantasy football league with 10 of our friends. As we go through the year and ultimately find out who is worthy of the crown, we will have trials and tribulations that will all be covered here. So strap in and spread those eyeballs because you're about to witness the best fantasy football coverage you've ever seen. Last week, I was sick and unable to record, so we're going to cover everything that happened week 1 and 2. And I think it would be a proper start to start with our teams since we are on the podcast. Get them over with and force the listeners to listen to us first, because we're conceited. So I guess we can start with your tragic team, which is somehow 0-2.
Yeah, I have some really good players on it, and things have kind of imploded.
Well, I mean, you do have the third most points in the league, so I think that's pretty unlucky, if anything.
Yeah, though I have lost both weeks.
Yeah. So I guess we can go over your first week matchup, where you lost to Brookezylaphone, 123.58 to 135.68. And this was a tragic one. I don't remember who played Monday night. Was that... I don't remember who played.
I didn't play anyone on Monday night.
That's right.
But it didn't matter. I was already going to be losing by Sunday night. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, my players all played by Sunday evening. Unfortunately, St. Brown is the one who didn't play as well, though he blasted it out of the park last week.
Yeah, that's right.
2.
Yeah, and you had Cooper Kupp go off in week 1, and then he got injured in week 2. So.
Right, he had a great week the first week, and then he got injured and hasn't played well since.
Yeah, you just couldn't overcome. They had Jaden Reed, so it was a pretty rough week. And then,
that was pretty amazing playing by Jaden Reed, though, I have to say.
Yeah,
but Cooper Kupp is only, they're both the wide receivers, and we had them matched. And they were both in our flex spots. And Cooper Kupp is only 1.1 points behind Reed. So he had a pretty phenomenal week, too.
Yeah, I mean, overall, your team did really good. It was just incredibly unlucky, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I will
well,
say
I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. And your tight end didn't do so good week 1, but week 2, you played KMoneyTheRichOG, and Trey McBride did have a good week, but you lost 127.94 to 147.50. Just an insane score from him. So, just pretty unlucky because you had Cooper Kupp get injured, and I think you definitely had a chance because he was playing really well.
Kyler Murray played very well. He had 28.54 points, so I really outplayed K-Money's team, Stroud, by over 14 points. And unfortunately, my running back Ford did not play, but he's very well at all. And that this week, of course, St. Brown played very well. And I've had some problems with Pittman, but Trey McBride played really well. And so did Rice for me.
Yeah. Rice
so I had some good But of course, Cup got injured.
For stealing rice from me. I'm mad at you for stealing rice from me still.
Yeah, well, someone stole some of my players' Gibbs from me, so.
Well, it wasn't me.
No, I know. I don't remember who it was, but anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy high scoring game. It really, I would say, came down to Cooper Kupp just getting hurt. Because I think you could have scored 30. I mean, your opponent had 3 people almost score 30, so I think if Cooper Kupp scored 30,
it was an amazing. Yeah, they had very good players. I mean, players who played very well. Yeah, and it was impressive. So I have to give them that. Though the week 2 matchup, they had Montgomery, and he's been playing really well for Detroit. So they've been giving him the ball a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful that your team can turn around. You've been killing it, so I think you definitely can. You do get a pretty unlucky matchup this week, though, where you play the first place team. You play the first place team, so we'll see. And
right now, I'm scheduled to lose, but I almost like the odds at first because it still says I have 44% chance winning. That unfortunately, the last few weeks has kind of gradually and sometimes quickly decreased to 2% or 0%. So
hey, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you've had some. You've been pretty unlucky.
I think the first week I was really, really unlucky. Which I guess we can get into now. Because that was that was hurtful. I played Mmcgrath, and they're 2-0 now somehow, but they've scored the least amount of points in a win both weeks. So I think they got pretty lucky, and they beat me 93.62 to 87.36, and
which is crazy.
Yeah, I have a bunch of people who have been underperforming. We'll say that. So I have Roma Dunze, Christian Kirk, Don Kincaid. All have done badly both weeks. Brandon Ayuk done badly too. But in week 1,
that's a hard one
to. And Puka Nacua got hurt. And if he didn't get hurt, I think I definitely would have won that because I only needed 6 more points. So that one.
You already have 2 people on your injured reserve.
I do.
I didn't notice that.
Because I actually drafted Jonathan Brooks, who I was able to put into my injured reserve right away. And then Puka Nacua I put in because he got put on IR.
Injured,
so, yeah. But, I mean, my team did pretty well week 1 besides the duds. Like, I think Jaden Daniels did really good. Kenneth Walker did good, but he got hurt too. So then I didn't have him last week. And then
he's still questionable, isn't? Or he was questionable for
I think he's questionable this week too.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried.
And so is Otun's.
Yeah.
Not to rub it in or anything.
Not to rub it in. That I'm probably going to lose again. And then week 2, I played Rick, the original OG, who beat me 94.12 to 64.84. So I only scored 64 points. And yeah, my team just did terrible. My only good player was Bijan Robinson, who scored 16 points, and every single other person did bad. Like Jaden Daniels did stat-wise well, but he didn't get any touchdowns. The team didn't score any, so that hurt. And then I mean everyone's hurt, so I'm kind of I don't know. I was taking stabs. I mean if you look down at my bench, I've been doing this thing where I'll have someone play at like 10 a.m. and then if they don't do well, I'll drop them and then pick someone up for 1 p.m. And if they don't do well, I'll drop them and pick up someone for 5 p.m. And then if they don't do well, so that's why I have like so many people on my like bench spots. It looks like I have just extra bench spots, but they're off the roster. So
got it.
I finally got someone to hit though on Monday night, and that was Darnell Mooney. So I'm hoping that Darnell Mooney does good this week.
He's not scheduled to get very many points, but
no. But I'm gonna.
You never know. Yeah.
because I'm playing my fellow last. Well, actually, he's below me. He's the only team. I'm ranked 11th right now, and he's ranked 12th at 0-2. So, and that's Attack 1421 or Troy. So he's who I'm playing. So I have a chance to win this week, and I'm definitely worried, but we'll see.
I actually picked up because Pacheco is on the IR. I picked up his backup.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how to say his name.
Right?
Perrini?
Perrini. Okay, well,
Perini. Okay, sorry. I know I slaughtered it. Samaje. Okay.
Yeah, Samaje Pirine. But,
okay, Samaje
You're
can
starting
say.
them, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think you can... Can't you... You can probably pick up someone for free, too, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I didn't see anyone I liked, though.
So you're going to wait and do the strategy?
Well, no, I've got to find someone, but I'm just trying... Like, the top person is someone I just dropped.
Oh, yeah.
So, kind of feel... I don't think you can pick up someone you just dropped in the same week.
No,
can you?
You have to wait for them to clear the waivers. So
okay.
I think if you wait till tomorrow... you can probably pick them up again.
Okay, well, I'll look and see, but yeah.
You can wait. I think it's just a day for our league. But yeah, those are our teams. We're both 0-2, so we're both hoping to finally get a win. I think your team is better, and the tiebreaker is points 4. So if you do start getting wins, you're gonna climb up the standings really quickly. Like
great, so I won't even be able to shoot the moon and get the toilet bowl award.
Nope, no, probably not. I can't imagine that's gonna happen with your team. I think it's much more likely with my team. But
well, I mean, it's kind of an accolade as well, you know.
Oh yeah,
to
definitely.
Shoot the moon. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But
especially
there's a lot. There's quite a few teams in our league that are playing pretty darn well.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed with the people because there's like Brookezylaphone has had a pretty good.
It's like a lot of people have one good week and then one bad week so far. So there's only one team that's really had one good week both weeks. And
that's the one I'm playing.
That's the one you're playing. Rage Against
And then
Weirdos.
Rick, too. Rick the original.
Rick the original, yeah. But even him, he scored like 100 less points than Rage Against Weirdos. Rage Against Weirdos has scored like 160 points both weeks. So
wow. And Code Red and Gold is also 2-0.
Yeah, there's a couple. And then Mmcgrath is 2-0 too. There's 4 2-0 teams and 4 0-2 teams, so we're at the bottom. And then there's 4 1-1 teams, so it's kind of an even spread right now. But I did start last year's league. I started 1-3, and I was very similar to your team, where I had a lot of points scored, and I was just getting unlucky playing hard teams, and then I started just getting luckier, and I climbed the standings, and I think I ended up in first place at the end of the year. So I was 10-6. So you definitely
whereas I went the opposite. I was in the top of the league, and then gradually got to. I think I ended up at 9th or 10th.
Yeah. So essentially, don't overreact to the early weeks. Yeah. Don't trade your players away too much. Even though I do have a trade, I'm trying to trade with Rick right now. I don't know if you saw it, but we'll see.
No, I didn't.
Well, you're not going to see it until it goes through, but he hasn't accepted it yet. So we'll see if he accepts it. I don't know if he will, but I guess we should start to get to the other teams. So
yeah, let's get to them.
So in first place, Rage Against Weirdos, who is 2-0, has the most points scored with 315 points scored, which is insane. That they just have scored a ton of points. So in week 1, they got 133.04, and that was second place by only 2 points. And they beat Moneymakers, who scored 98.06. They had a lot of everyone did well. No one got below 10 points on their team, which is the main thing. And I'm starting to see a pattern. They have Jameson Williams, Brock Bowers, and Alvin Kamara, who are like just heavy. I think they're like some of the top players at the positions. So it just makes sense. I mean, they got some really good depth pieces, and in week 2 they scored 182.54 points.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they beat Brookezylaphone, who scored.
It makes me wonder when there's a whole slew of people that get injured in the first couple weeks of the season, how well they've trained prior to the season, and what their physical therapists and trainers are like, and whether they are detailed enough to help them compensate and retrain certain things that are going to make them certain positions and certain ways they run or step that's going to make them get more likely to be injured.
I mean,
it's probably more luck.
I mean, I would say like the hamstring injuries, like it depends on the injury, but like there's like Amon-Ra St. Brown is at least his dad prides him on like having every muscle like worked out like,
perfectly
properly. Yeah, so it makes sense. Like if some of the players are not doing that, why they're getting injured, and I know some of the teams are also not. They didn't play in the preseason, so like the Bengals, and that might be why they're doing worse right now. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Rage Against Weirdos plays you this week, so good luck. Hopefully he doesn't score 160 points or 180 points again. So, but yeah, we'll see. I think
it'll be impressive to watch. If as much as I'll be not happy,
much as you'll be crying. I mean, if you look at last week, week 2, when they scored 182 points, they had Alvin Kamara score 47, James Cook scored 28, Devontae Adams 29. So it's like a lot of their players having these crazy games, which is unlikely to repeat week to week. Because, I mean, you just get tired. So, hopefully, they have a bounce back, because they're tired. Maybe they'll have a worse game for your sake. But
if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
That's where the luck comes in.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he has a different opinion. I'm sure he wants his players to do well.
So some of the people in our league, I can see their scores are, some of them are getting better. Like yours was, unfortunately, in week 2, pretty poor. But I guess I'm wondering, is there anything that any of them could do? Because it seems like a lot of people are getting better each week and changing their roster or their lineup. Yeah, you kind of just, I think a lot of the times you're just kind of figuring out who is doing well on the teams. So you're kind of like I'm realizing, okay, Christian Kirk is not doing well. I'm going to bench him. And that's the week that he'll play really well. So you put him in and he gets injured.
Of course. With my luck, probably yes. But but in general, like I think that's why. And also, week 1, it was like a really low scoring week. Week 1, it was I think 60% of the amount of touchdowns that there were from last year in week 1. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of just also more touchdowns are probably being scored this last week, which makes sense. I mean, we saw a lot of people do well. JennWeng is in second place. If you want to transition to there, I don't know if that was a smooth transition, but JennWeng's in second place at 2-0, and
it's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, the first week was. It's funny because I think the first week their team did better. Yeah, they scored 127 the first week, and they beat Poncho, who scored 99. And, I mean, it's kind of some luck involved. Like, obviously, they had A.J. Brown week 1, and they had Deebo Samuel week 1. And I think Deebo got hurt in the middle of the game this past week. Is that right? So
I can't remember. He gets... Yeah, he's gotten injured a few times.
But they still ended up winning week 2 because they played Naples, who had Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey obviously didn't play, so they had to start Jalen McLaughlin, who got 0.6 points, which that was that's just a rough game.
That was a rough game.
Start. Yeah, I don't even think it was a bad play. It just
didn't
work out.
Not at all. Bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck. But
then you see Poncho, who didn't do so well the first week, gets 157 plus points in week 2.
Yeah, and we can go into them next, actually.
I'm just trying to remember who they changed on their team that would have helped them do that, or if they just had people who were played better the second week.
It really was just better, but also Zach Charbonnet was a new, because Kenneth Walker's on my team and he got hurt and he wasn't playing, and Zach Charbonnet's the backup, so
that was smart of them.
Zach Charbonnet, and on top of that they have Malik Neighbors, DK Metcalf, Devon A. Chain, sorry.
And Lamb didn't play poorly. I mean, it wasn't what they expected, but it was very close.
Yeah.
Metcalf, of course, is now questionable, right?
Yes, Metcalf is questionable. So we'll see. I mean, I think, let's see, if this week, JennWeng's team, I guess we didn't go over that first, but they're projected to do 104, and then Poncho is projected 105, so they're both projected pretty well.
To win. I'm sorry.
To win, I think.
Yeah.
They're both projected to win. And they're both projected pretty well. I mean, they don't have too many injuries. But they're questionable players. So it's like, if their players play, I think they'll be fine. But if they don't, then they might be in trouble. So we'll kind of see what happens with them, because I mean, I think JennWeng got a little unlucky with obviously AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel. So, but she does have a lot of depth, and she also picked up the Warhorse. I don't know if you know who that is, but that's Carson Steele.
No,
the other running back for Kansas City who might play over Samaje Perine. Sorry to break this to you.
Are you kidding me?
But
there were two players that they said might take their position, and
it's unclear. So I don't think you made a bad move, but I was gonna wait to bring this up because Carson Steele, known as the Warhorse, awesome nickname, also owns a pet alligator.
Okay, that's
isn't
weird.
That cool?
Well, it's cool. I guess you could call it cool.
It is very weird, though. I mean, that.
How do you call it a pet? Isn't a pet something that you can pet?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can't imagine that you can pet that one too much.
I mean, I pet an alligator when I was a kid, so...
Yes, when you were a kid.
Yeah, I mean...
And it was a little alligator.
Yeah.
And they probably had fed it quite a bit beforehand.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's... the alligator story is funny, but I do think that his nickname is just amazing. The Warhorse. I think that's...
that is amazing.
So we'll
see. Isn't that the name of one of the Kentucky Derby? One of the winners many years ago was the Warhorse. But I could be totally wrong. That could be from another something. But and I haven't watched the Kentucky Derby for many decades. So...
Well, I mean, I think it's a cool name. So either way, I think that's a good pickup for JennWeng. I mean, I don't even think Pawninq has had to pick anyone up, really. I haven't noticed anyone. Maybe a tight end. I think maybe Colby Parkinson week 1 because Jake Ferguson got hurt for them. But we'll see. I'm not sure if Jake Ferguson's going to play. But they're 1-1, and they're in 5th place. And JennWeng is in 2nd place because they've scored the 2nd most points out of the 2-0 teams. But Pawninq actually has the 2nd most points in the league. and you're third most. So I just think it's hilarious how the high point scorers are not 2-0. It's just
that is pretty amazing.
Unlucky matchups, and also just inconsistent games, because a lot of the players have been inconsistent so far. So that's 5 teams we've talked about so far. So now I guess we'll talk about another 2-0 team before we have a little break. So we'll call it a break. But
you can, by the way, edit out the whole Warhouse thing.
I'm keeping that in. We're keeping that in. We have to let the people know about the war. Oh, it
was a movie in 2011 that Steven Spielberg, it took place in World War I.
Yeah,
supposedly.
Seabiscuit or whatever, is that right?
No, Seabiscuit actually won stuff, and there's actually a statue in the Bay Area of Seahorse at a place that used to be a racetrack. So I don't know if that's where they're from, but anyway,
we'll find out. Anyways, in third place right now is Ricknolle, who has 206 points. I will say, I think he's gotten pretty lucky to be in third place at 2-0, because he has scored only 206 points. But surprisingly, not the lowest score in 2-0 team. So first we'll go over Ricknolle's team. So week 1, Ricknolle won 112-43. So he got to play TAC. So we got to play the last place team. And then this past week, he won, I think it was 94-64, where he got to play me. So he got to play the last 2 place teams. And that is why he's 2-0. But, I mean, hey, everyone needs a little bit of luck sometimes. And, I mean, yeah, he does have Saquon Barkley, who's been going off, having a really good start to the season. Stephon Diggs had a good week 1. I mean, I don't know. Rachaad White, I guess, had a good week 1. But overall, not great. Just had a couple good players, like Marvin Harrison last week. And then Saquon Barkley again. So really not too much crazy special. Hopefully some of his other players step up, Like Tank Dell. I was super high on Tank Dell. I mean, on his bench, he does have J.K. Dobbins and Rashid Shaheed, so who knows? Maybe
Purdy. Purdy played better than Prescott last week.
Yeah, so he could have them step up, I think that's a high possibility.
Too bad White is questionable now, so hopefully he'll switch him out for Dobbins.
Yeah, he probably will, but if he doesn't play, but
good point.
This week he does play Mmcgrath, who is also a 2-0, but they're also the lowest scoring 2-0 team. So another I wouldn't say easy matchup, but another matchup he's favored in. So Rick could start 3-0, which would be a great start. I mean, you never know with these close matchups.
And he did put Dobbins in this week. I just noticed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he did. So,
so that was smart. He's got Freiermuth. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Freiermuth, who hasn't been doing. I mean, you have an elite tight end, so I don't think you're ever going to start Freiermuth over McBride.
I just have a special place in my heart for Freiermuth because I happen to have a T-shirt that is true. My son gave me. To get me interested.
Gift. You should tell him I told him he got a good gift.
I still like my Kyler Murray blanket the best, though.
Well, before we have the break, I have a surprise segment for you. Are you ready for Totally Offensive's Guaranteed Prop Bets? You heard that, right? I have not just...
I heard it, yeah.
All right, well, this is going to be your guaranteed prop bets, ones that you are going to 100% guaranteed get right. So no pressure. But I have some prop bets for you, and you had to, and it's actually players on your team. So I picked prop bets of players on your team, and you have to guess if they're going to go over or under. So the first prop is Kyler Murray getting 235.5 passing yards. Do you think he'll get more than that or less?
That's what he's predicted to get.
Yes. So do you think?
Gosh, that's a hard one. It because he's playing versus Detroit.
Yeah. And it's passing yards only, not rushing yards.
He's been playing. Well, the last week he played a little bit better than the first week. I'm going to say about the same.
About the same? Okay. So
am I allowed to say about the same?
No.
Okay, then in that case, I will say he's going to go over.
Okay, over 235.5.
Yes.
Next is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Will he go over or under 76.5 receiving yards?
He's going to go over.
Over, okay. 2 overs so far. Lock it in. Make your free money, folks. And there's one more, and that's Jerome Ford. And this one's a fun one. Will he get over or under 2.5 catches? So receptions.
I would say under.
Under. Okay, we have an under. So just for all the bettors at home who want to go down and put all their life savings on these 3 picks, you can make a little parlay, maybe win. Let's say you put down $1,000, you could come home with with about like 10 grand, So it's over Kyler Murray, 235.5 passing yards, over Amon-Ra St. Brown, 76.5 receiving yards, and under Jerome Ford, 2.5 receptions. So I like the picks. Yeah. I guess we can get back into it. We'll keep going into the next the next standings, which is the 4th place team, which is MMcGrath 35, who is 2-0, but they've only scored 180 points, which, I mean, it's shocking. You'd have to be like, wow, who did they play? Oh, they played the exact same 2 teams that Rick did. They played the last 2 place teams, me and Tack. So, it makes sense. And in week 1, they beat me 93.62 to 87.3, and that's the one that
which was a closer game.
It was a very close game, and I blame Puka Nacua getting hurt, so that one hurts. I think Evan Ingram did get hurt for them, though, so it's not like fully my guys just getting hurt. It was also one of his guys got hurt, I think.
So is that kind of a blah team against a uk team? Is that how you would describe that?
Oh, blah versus uk? Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. I would say, like, I'm more like, like that's my team. Like just wincing from injuries. Getting hurt all the time. But yeah, week 1, he had the least points scored in a win. And week 2, Mmcgrath had the least points scored in a win when he beat Tack's team 86-70. So he scored 86 points and won, which is fantastic. I mean, he did have Zay Flowers, who did really well, though, so that's looking good. And then Kyron Williams had a pretty good game. Just got pretty unlucky, I think. But he is starting 2 tight ends, which I would not recommend doing.
Well, he's also... McGrath is also... it's a pretty close game.
Yeah,
predicted to be a pretty close game.
Oh, this week. Yes.
This week, yeah.
Yes,
so,
this week... Well, this week they play Rick, I believe. So
yeah, and it's 2-0, so it'll be interesting to see which one of them wins.
Yeah, it is funny that they're both 2-0, and they've both played the last 2 place teams, which I think is hilarious. But Yeah, I think it's bragging rights to be who will be 0-3 with the least points scored. Probably I've ever seen as a 0-3 team or a 3-0 team, but all that really matters is wins at the end of the day. Well, I mean, points for does matter when you get to the tiebreakers, but getting the wins matters most. So
yeah,
and top 6 make the playoffs. So it's looking really good that whoever wins this week has a really good chance to make the playoffs. So yeah, good on them. We already talked about Pawninq in 5th place, so we'll go to KMoneyTheRichOG in 6th place, who's 1-1 with 245 points, which is I think the 5th most, or is it? No, it's the 4th most. They're right behind you in points scored. So they're the 4th most points scored. And which week did they lose? They lost the first week, but I think they just had a really good week 2 because they only scored 98 points in week 1, and that was when they played Rage Against Weirdos. And their team did all right. They had Justin Jefferson, though, not do as well as he could have. They do have Nico Collins, who's been amazing. So they have some good players. Etienne Montgomery, you mentioned earlier. You said you like Montgomery, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and then this past week he played you when he scored 147. So, yeah, I mean he has a good team. If Stroud starts doing better too, I think he'll even have a better team. So definitely a scary team, just to be frank. And hopefully I don't play him soon because I don't know when I play him. But considering I've had a pretty easy schedule, I'm not looking forward to starting like 0-7 or something.
Well, but you've changed your team around, so you never know.
You never know. And hopefully I can trade with Rick, but we'll see. We'll see if the trade goes through. Could shock up the league, if it goes through. People will be talking about it next week, But this week, Moneymakers, or Money the Rich, is playing Brookezylaphone. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I don't think either of them have really any injuries currently. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but we'll see.
Brooke has one questionable, but they're on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, Jaden Reed's questionable too.
Yeah, Jaden Reed is questionable, so maybe he doesn't play, I guess.
But that's just for Brooke. And let's see about K's. Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, he does have 3 questionables.
3 questionables, yeah, on the starting, and 1 on the bench.
Yeah, that's a little more risky, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Well, you never know. Sometimes they say someone's questionable, and then they play really well.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Jefferson. I might be a little worried about Schultz, but I think those players should be fine. We'll see though. And so that's Money the Rich's team. Going to be an interesting matchup. In 7th place, also at 1-1, is Danbledore, who has scored 229 points and actually was the highest scoring person week 1. So week 2 didn't go fully according to his plan. I think it was like a fall back down to earth. He does have a lot of Bills players, so the Bills didn't do good week 2. So
that kind puts you in a precarious place if they don't play super well.
Oh yeah, and they played Thursday, so they played early, and
so they didn't have much of a rest.
Yeah, so his team scored he had Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen, and Keon Coleman play on Thursday, and they scored 15 points, and his opponent only had Devon Achane on Thursday, and Devon Achane scored 30 points. So it was instantly. I'm
a little surprised that they've got for their tight end Gesicki's in, or Gesicki. Yeah. I don't know how you pronounce it.
This week Gesicki
and Kittle's on their bench.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. he must have just did that too. So that's definitely surprising. I wouldn't recommend that. I would, but hey, hopefully he starts Gesicki and has a great week. But especially because Deebo Samuel's out and so is McCaffrey.
Right.
You'd think Kittle would probably get more work, but it will be funny if he listens to this and then decides to start Kittle instead, and then Gesicki has a really good game. I think
what about
really funny.
Yeah, really. Mixon's questionable on his bench, but Mixon is predicted to get quite a few more points than Elliott. But
yeah. There's a chance too. He's just playing mind games. Like, what if he's waiting to put his starters in to give Jen like a bigger hope, But yeah, I don't know. I would recommend starting Mixon and Kittle. I don't know about you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I'd be very careful to watch Mixon and just make sure that his practices this week,
that's a good point.
Like Thursday and Friday, are good, and see when I can't remember when he's playing.
Yeah,
because
I think he's playing 10 a.m., so it should be fine.
Okay, so I would want to for sure have someone in a flex spot that could be someone he could switch out or in or something like that. I don't know how
that's a good point.
How you say that, but
anyway. Make sure to put him in the flex or something. Someone that they can. Yeah, because right now I don't think they have a lot of flexibility. So
that's true.
But
it's a nice point if it works for you. But sometimes when I was first in the fantasy football leagues, people would do what you were talking about earlier. They would hold people out and then put them in at the last second. But there were other people who didn't do that, and it's like they weren't watching their team. And
or they forgot or something.
Before I understood the appropriate approach to this, I would sometimes message them and say, "Have you looked at your team yet?"
That's really
now
funny.
I understand that's not really
the way you shouldn't do that, and you should try to just destroy them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's really funny though. Well, I guess we can move on to the next team. We talked enough about Dan's team, probably. Gave him too much advice. Probably doesn't need it. I guess we should give Jen some advice since they're playing each other. So Jen, I don't even know if she needs it. I mean, she's been crushing it. I don't even think she needs it.
No, she'll just watch a couple of players that are questionable. Aaron Jones and Addison.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she has a couple doubtfuls, and you did say Deebo Samuel was doubtful for this week, but that's two of her running backs are
and her tight end. She's had to start Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry is a good. I think Hunter Henry is a good pick. He's been doing good, so I guess we can move on then. But it's going to be a close matchup, I think, and So next up,
well, she's had to put running backs in her flex spots.
That's true.
Because right now
she does have Carson Steele, which she does have the Warhorse. So
but none of
I don't think she needs any help.
But none of her. They haven't even suggested that AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, or David Njoku.
David Njoku.
Are going to even get any points, so they must be really questionable. They haven't predicted any points for them.
That's a good point. Yeah, so they're probably all not going to play. Which
this is who got Gibbs.
Yeah, they got.
It was
Gibbs.
Jen that got Gibbs. Okay.
Yeah.
Another T-shirt I have.
Oh yeah. But hey, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I think it would have been a little risky to go all Lions.
Exactly. And I had been disappointed about not getting Deebo Samuel, but given that he's doubtful now,
that's a good point.
Of course,
But also, you picked Cooper Kupp over him, so I don't know how much of a difference it makes. Both, it's like a worst of both worlds.
Right, exactly.
But anyways, the last 1-1 team is Brookezylaphone, who's in 8th place, and they scored 223, which is still more than 3rd place. So really, with just a couple luckier games, they could be up in 3rd place. But yeah, week 1 they played you, I think. No, they played.
Yeah, they played me.
Yeah, it was you week 1, and they scored 135 that week. Yeah. Oh no, I think they scored them. Wait, did they score? No, they scored.
They scored a lot of points.
Yeah, they scored a lot of points. 135 to 123. We kind of talked about this already, but they had Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Jaden Reed, Jalen Waddle. They all had a good game. And then week 2 was not as good of a week. They only scored 87 points, and they got beat by like 100 points by Rage Against Weirdos. Where
it's interesting that she has 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, well...
I actually talked with her about this, and she was... Well, because Anthony Richardson got hurt a lot last year, so there was definitely some concern. And she also has a lot of the Falcons players, so she got Kirk Cousins. So I think it was like in case Anthony Richardson gets hurt, or in case he doesn't do as well as he's expected to,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think in that case it kind of makes sense. But I personally usually don't go for 2 QBs, but I think in this case it kind of did make sense. But yeah, I mean, she had like a bad week. It was just probably a down week. I mean, Jaden Reed I think got hurt, so that didn't help. But there really was no chance when your opponent scores 182. I mean,
yeah, that. You can't really I don't think I've ever seen someone score that many points.
Yeah,
in a game. Exactly. Have you?
I don't. Not that I can remember. Maybe last year. Oh yeah, I think in the finals actually. I think I scored like 170 in the finals, and my opponent scored 190 or something. It was crazy.
Oh, I forgot
it was the finals too. I was like, I was shook. So that happened last year, and ended up 2nd place because of that. But this year I'm 2nd to last place. So fun turn of events.
You've won your share of tournaments.
Yeah, that's fair. But this week, Brooke plays KMoneyTheRichOG. So going to be a close matchup. K-Money is averaging more points, averaging 122. And Brooke's averaging 111. But because it was really just one down week for Brooke, I think it is going to be a pretty close matchup. Unless someone gets hurt, obviously. But I think it should be a close matchup. So I'm excited for that one. That one's going to be another close one.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure to watch that one.
That's a pivotal matchup. Because that's like the difference between 2-1 and 1-2. Next week, that could be the difference between 3rd place and... like 9th place, you know? So
the problem for Money is that they have 3 players that are starters that are questionable.
Yeah.
And 1 questionable player on their bench. So
yeah. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm going to keep an eye out for that matchup. Obviously, we'll talk about it next week.
But that's 3 wide receivers that are questionable for them.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's pretty unlucky.
Tight end.
Well, I mean, if they all play, I guess it's not unlucky, but it's like definitely you got to keep an eye out.
Yeah. And they also have 2 quarterbacks, and they do not have a second tight end. Not that any of us usually do, but
yeah. I mean, they can probably pick one up, but I definitely am not as big of a fan of the 2 QBs in this situation because they have C.J. Stroud, who they drafted so early, and he's like, he's not necessarily like a super high risky pick. He's probably just going to play him every week, so I don't think he needs the second one.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. But, I mean, hey, what can I say? I'm the one second to last place, and he's in 6th. So I guess now we can go to the last 0-2 teams. We already talked about our teams earlier, where you're in 9th, but Team Naples is in 10th. And Team Naples got incredibly unlucky because they have Christian McCaffrey. So they immediately lost Christian McCaffrey. They also have Hollywood Brown, who's looking like he's out for the season. They also have Nick Chubb, who Nick Chubb was expected. He's expected to come back later in the year. So hopefully that happens for them. But essentially that's like 3 players that you drafted that you're not able to play. So now he's starting.
Well, he's got 2 on injured reserve. I didn't realize that.
So he can't even put McCaffrey.
As well as a questionable for his. Oh, he's got 2 quarterbacks as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's starting Ty Chandler and Jaleel McLaughlin. So that just shows you his depth is not great, which you can't really blame him when he has that many injuries, but definitely hurts to not have the depth when you need it, you know? So
for him, it's too bad you couldn't put Jordan Love in a flex position.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think anyone would love that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's gotten pretty unlucky. He got really unlucky week 1 because no one knew McCaffrey was going to be out. And because he actually, this is something that I will mention, is that he did make a mistake where he had McCaffrey in his running back slot instead of in his flex spot. So he couldn't, there were no running backs because someone already had Jordan Mason. So he couldn't just pick up any running backs. He might have been able to start Braylon Allen, but I mean, I don't think Braylon Allen did anything. So there was no real good players that he could have picked up, and it probably wasn't worth like dropping someone to pick because he was already going to lose. He was already down by a ton. So, so it probably wasn't worth it, and he didn't end up picking up anyone. So he just took the 0. So he only scored 79 points week 1. And Danbledore beat him 144 to 79. So the biggest blowout week 1. And then since he still doesn't have McCaffrey, obviously things have been just going slow for him. And week 2, he played JennWeng, who beat him 103 to 89, which that one's a much closer one. He definitely had a chance.
Yeah, it was.
Jaleel McLaughlin only got 0.6, so that one definitely hurts. And then, his QB didn't do great.
That's almost a slap in the face when one of your players does like 0.6 or minus 1.0.
Oh, yeah, like Christian Kirk did with 0.9.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no, I'm here. I'm here. I'm just not doing anything. It's like, I'm not hurt. I'm playing all the plays.
Yeah. I'm just penalizing our team with my poor playing.
Well, he is playing Pawninq this week. So he's projected to lose by like 13 right now, but who knows? He could get lucky. I mean, he's playing Jaleel McLaughlin and Ty Chandler, so it's not great to have to play them, but definitely hopeful that they can, his team can step up and, be competitive. Because it does, when you lose the 101 pick, I mean, especially the way it happened, that just really stinks. Like, you just said there was no idea that he was going to be out for this long, so I just feel really bad for him, especially he's a Niners fan, so he's he loses him and he has to watch his team play without them, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess we can move on to the last team, and then we're done. So exciting. We're almost done. And the last place team is, well, obviously I'm in 11th, which we already talked about, and then TAC 1421's in 12th with 114 points. Which, look, just a very rough first 2 weeks. We'll just say that. He's a Bengals fan. The Bengals didn't play in the preseason, I mentioned earlier. Could be why they're doing so bad. And his week 1 is one of the historically funniest performances I've ever seen because his starting lineup only scored 43 points, and his bench scored like 80 points.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
His bench scored double the amount of points that his starting lineup did. And yeah, he lost 112 to 43. But on his bench, he had Tua, who just got hurt. So Tua could have played instead of Burrow. I mean, he wouldn't have realistically started any of these people. Jordan Mason, the issue was he didn't have a roster spot to play Jordan Mason in because we didn't even know Jordan Mason was starting until after all of his people played. So Jordan Mason did really good. Zach Moss did good, 14.1. And then Tyler Lockett did good, 13.7. And those scored more than any single player in his starting lineup, those 4. So considering that he only had 4 bench spots because T. Higgins was out, I just thought it was crazy. It was like I've never seen a bench do that much better than the starting lineup before. And
I think I had that one year.
You think you had that
It was really frustrating. The people I put in that I thought would do well. In fact, I think I had Kyler Murray. Because he had gotten injured, I had the backup quarterback, and the backup quarterback had been playing well, but they predicted that Murray was going to come back and play, and I switched it to Murray, and he got hurt, and we ended up. The person I had on my bench got tons more points, so that was a little brutal.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes there's nothing you can do. Like, I don't think any person that Troy started was wrong. I think he started the right players. It didn't work out. And then this past week, he lost to Mmcgrath, 86-70. So he lost, but he actually had some good players. I mean, he had Jordan Mason do well again, and then Jonathan Taylor did well. But there were some frustrating things, like Tua had a bad game, and then he also got hurt. And I think everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people saw it. And I don't know if you saw it, but he got another concussion. So they put him on IR, and there's a chance. I mean, some people are thinking that Tua never plays again. Because of the concussions, and they're worried about his life, like after football. So
I heard about that.
Yeah, and it was very scary. So that it just sucks for him, and I hope he can get healthy and I don't know, make a decision that he wants, because sometimes it's just not worth it to play when you're gonna just put your life at risk, you know.
Exactly.
So, that didn't go well, and then I think Tyler Lockett also got hurt, and then Kelsey has been doing bad. So Troy changed his name to Taylor because Jonathan Taylor, and also Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift. So so his name is Taylor. So he's trying to get some good luck, some good Taylor Swift luck. That's his goal. Hopefully he doesn't get it this week though, because we play this week. And it's the battle of the Titans, battle for last place. So we'll see. We'll see who comes out on top. And I mean, he was originally gonna come on the podcast, but he's on East Coast time. He couldn't make it, and I think he's just too scared. You know, I think he's too scared of me. And since we're playing this week, I think he just got scared and didn't want to show up. You know. So that's my theory. I don't know. You can tell me down below in the comments or text me directly. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think he's too scared to come on the podcast?
No, he's never been scared of a competition with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even if he loses, it seems like you guys have always had that competition thing for a while.
He scored the least points week 1. I scored the least points week 2. So we'll see. We'll see who scores the least points week 3. But
maybe he doesn't want to rub it in since he's predicted to beat you.
I know. I mean, that's a good point. I'll just say hopefully one of us wins and we don't tie. Because if we tie, I don't think we'd recover from that. I think we'd both just...
I think you're right.
Well, I guess we went through all the teams. Is there anything else you want to say? Any trash talk you want to give to Rage Against Weirdos?
No. I don't want to stir anything up.
You don't want to trash talk the first place team?
No, because sometimes that backfires and it causes them to have put a lot of fire under them and do better.
You could say on this podcast, there's no chance you're gonna win. He's definitely gonna win, and congratulate him on going 3-0. You can do that, and then it's like reverse psychology.
The problem with that is that then it would make I wouldn't be as hopeful for the games.
That's a good point.
So even you just saying it would make me feel that way. I always have hope, so I can't say that.
Well, I'm glad you have hope, and I think you definitely do have a shot. A lot of his players did so well last week that it's probably unlikely they do as well this week. So I can't imagine that getting 30 points 2 weeks in a row is likely. So who knows?
Right.
But thank you for joining me. This was fun. I'm glad you were able to come on and do the podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I guess we'll call it here. And we'll see who wins the poop bowl next week. Come back, and hopefully Troy can join me, and we can talk about how we both only scored 50 points, and one of us won 50 points. All right.
Take care.
Take care. Peace.